The NEI exhibit here, that will cover details about enrichment?
It covers basically details about anything nuclear on their website, both here or at home. So basically, what we've done here is created a couple of iPads through which if people want to get greater detail about any particular subject, like for example, if the different reactor designs, fuel enrichment, whatever it may be, radiation, all of that is available on the NEI website. So.
Which, of course, you don't have to travel here to see. You can
Nope.
just simply visit
That's
the
correct.
website. And that website's what?
NEI.org.
Simple to remember.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. So we were looking now at the everyday electric example here.
Yeah, so part of understanding how a nuclear plant operates is understanding what electricity is and how it's generated in its simplest terms. So in essence, that's what this is. It just shows what electricity is, how it's generated, and how it's moved along wires, what a circuit is, some of the simple things that are typically taught in Arizona in 5th and 6th grade science.
Hopefully in other states and countries as well.
I'm sure it is. I just know where it is in the Arizona curriculum in 5th and 6th grade. We have a generator here, so turning the handle, you can see the components of the generator being the rotor and the stator, the primary elements. And by doing that, you power up these appliances, if you will. It gives us some examples of energy use. We all get at some point in our lives scolded by our mom for leaving the lights on. And, as it turns out, the lights are really not the most energy-consuming devices in your home.
No.
Especially devices that either remove heat, such as refrigerators, air conditioners, things like that, or things that create heat, like blow dryers, are actually the more energy-consuming devices in your home. So it's
of course,
it's really taking the long hot showers that is most energy-consuming if you have an electric water heater versus the lights.
Of course, the trade-off is the lights might be left on for many, many hours, whereas hopefully you're only using your dryer for 10 minutes.
Which is why hopefully instead of, the old traditional light bulb, you're now using the CFLs, the light bulbs. For 14 watts, you're getting the equivalency of the 60 watt light bulbs, which are more common in homes. So, and now the CFL bulbs have come a long ways. You get some of the specialty bulbs like the big dome lights and three-way lights and things like that. Now they have in CFL form as well.
Now LEDs are becoming quite common as well, and coming down in price. Is there a real benefit to switching to LEDs over CFLs?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not a lighting expert, so.
Fair enough.
LEDs are a little less light consuming or energy consuming and run a little cooler than than the old standard incandescent bulbs.
They also last quite a bit longer. They don't have quite the burnout problem that the CFLs do. Yeah. And it's sometimes a little easier to affect their color.
The other aspect of energy is transmission and distribution. Yeah.
Okay.
So we talk about what energy is, how it's created in a nuclear plant. It only makes sense then that we would also talk about how that energy gets from Palo Verde or another power plant to your home.
Do we have any idea what kind of losses we've got from Palo Verde to Phoenix?
Not that I can that I know of. The longer the distance of transmission, the greater the potential line loss. So from here to Phoenix, not being a long distance, probably minimal line loss between here and there. When you start talking about some of our owners that are further away, they're going to experience greater line loss between the plant and their customers.
And this is why, even though it's part of the complete electrical grid, Palo Verde primarily serves about 4 states.
Yeah, Palo Verde's on the southwest section of the western grid, but ultimately the owners of those electrons that we put on the line are 7 owners.
Okay, let's take a look at the next item.
While it's not on, I do have a video wall here that we'll have. As we populate it, we'll have various videos that people will be able to select to watch on various topics.
And do you know what kind of topics will be explored?
Security, safety. We have a time-lapse photography of construction on the site. So there'll be a wide variety of videos, both ones that we produce, Palo Verde produces, and ones that are produced by the Nuclear Energy Institute.
Okay. I think we've seen everything here. It looks like you have, we missed this wall on excellence.
So what this discusses is, the oversight and partnership that we have with oversight of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the primary regulator, and then we have the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations, which is a membership organization that has standards of excellence that we all abide by. And then WANO is the similar organization to IMPO, but is the World Association.
Okay, and INPO is what exactly?
Institute of Nuclear Power Operations. It's an industry association. We all do pay members. They establish standards of excellence that we all work to in the nuclear industry, and they also have the National Academy for Nuclear Training, which accredits all of our training programs.
And let's talk a little bit about the US NRC. What is their main function with regards to nuclear energy?
Well, they are the primary regulator, and they are their mission is to protect the health and safety of the public, as is our mission, as you might imagine. They are the primary regulator, and they have, for example, resident inspectors at every plant in the country, who then observe and monitor the operations of those facilities. And then in addition, they will do regular planned and unplanned inspections of sites.
Okay. And you have an auditorium here. What's that used for?
Both for visits by the public, where we have large groups that would come in where we could do presentations, and it's also used for some public uses. We're in the town of Buckeye. If the town of Buckeye wanted to do some sort of town hall or something, the facility is available to those civic organizations.
It's good to know.
Yeah, so it's a large 222-seat sloped floor auditorium. We got some work going on in here now.
You said 222 seats?
That's correct.
And we just have a demo movie clip going on at the moment.
Testing the systems.
Okay. And then start things up just a little bit so it's not too long. Oh, yeah.
Looks like you have two projectors with three projectors.
Right now they're doing the center one. We can kick the other one.
No, that's fine. So we have 3 projectors and then additional monitors that are tied in as well.
Excellent. Was that some seating I saw in the back there? Some kind of wave?
Oh, it's a bench that the guys, when they were building this, thought that I would use, but I have no use for it. And we have running up here, it's kind of interesting, about 400 slides that I put together, where just various plant and employee photos alternating with little factoids, where you could sit here for quite a time and go through all these different factoids. So there's a nice picture of the reactor refueling going on.
Now, this particular building that we're in has been LEED certified?
That's correct. So it's gold LEED, which and you can see some of the elements of that there. One of the aspects is using a lot of recycled or low impact materials. The stage in the auditorium, for example, is bamboo flooring. Carpets are all recycled material carpets. The floors, one of the most interesting things is the floors are raised floors. There's about 2-foot drop between the floor and the actual base of the building. And rather than have, as you would see in more traditional structures, having your ventilation systems up in the top of the building, the ductwork actually delivers air under the floor, and that comes up through the discs that you can see here.
That must make for a nice even heating and cooling.
Yeah, and it's a lot more efficient. And you can see that I'm sure there's some specificity to the pattern of the discs, but the reality is what it makes it very flexible. If you have areas of the building that tend to get cooler or hotter than other areas, you can move some of those discs around. As we go to install the exhibits, we can move the discs because they're up in 18-inch square steel pads that make up the floor. And so all we have to do is, if we're going to put something over that, we just move that disc to another location, still allowing that flow of air.
So now we're talking about the water use technology of this plant. We were just talking recently about how it uses effluent for cooling, and therefore is not near any bodies of water for cooling.
So it's reclaimed water. It comes from the 91st Avenue Water Treatment Facility in West Phoenix. And when we pull this handle here, sort of reminiscent of flushing, that lights up the pathway of water from the 91st Avenue Water Treatment Facility to the Palo Verde plant. The water then is treated at our own water reclamation facility, which is labeled number 1 there. It then goes into, after treatment, into the 45-acre and 85-acre reservoirs, which then are the water source for our cooling systems. And the cooling towers here are at 5, 7, and 9 for units 1, 2, and 3. So they'll run between the cooling towers and the turbine buildings about 29 times, the water will. And then after that, it becomes more heavily laden with minerals and salts as you've evaporated off H2O. And then that water will be sent out to the evaporation ponds where it's then allowed to naturally evaporate under the Arizona sun.
So if I could just take a quick look here. You were saying something that we have natural evaporation going on in addition to the evaporation from the plant cooling?
That's correct.
What's the purpose of the additional evaporation?
Well, at this point, the water is too heavily laden with minerals and salts because they've been concentrated here. As you're evaporating 18,000 gallons a minute at 1 unit, you have high levels of H2O going in. As you're evaporating off H2O, you're now concentrating the minerals and the salts in that circulating water. You don't want to continue doing that to the point where now you're clogging tubes and potentially damaging equipment because it's the water's too heavy, if you will. So you're going to blow it down and put it out here, and there under the Arizona sun it just naturally evaporates, which leaves then in the bottom of the pond this white crusty residue, which is the minerals and salts that are left when you evaporate off the water.
Is there any radioactivity added to that water as a result of going through the plant?
And the answer is no. But at the same time, the answer is these minerals and salts are radioactive, but they were when we got them. The water that we get has radioactive material in it, either natural or man-made that comes in through the waste system. It is not becoming radioactive as a matter of going through the nuclear plant. It was already radioactive when we got the water, to a small extent. But it is in that concentrated material that's left here, the minerals and salts. So these are lined reservoirs, and it's really not the small amount of radioactivity that it's in there that you're protecting the environment against. It's those minerals and salts such that in that concentrated form, they are not getting down to the water table where they would get into the well water system in the surrounding area.
Okay.
So as people in the valley communities, flush their toilets, take showers, wash dishes, and so on, they are providing the cooling water for Palo Verde, at least those people who live in Phoenix, Glendale, Scottsdale, Tempe, Mesa, and Tolleson.
So what we're looking at basically is a recycling or a second use of wastewater.
That's correct.
It's all water that was going to be evaporated or wasted or reclaimed anyway.
It's used in the valley. There are a number of golf courses that use it for irrigation. It's used sometimes in lakes on golf courses. It can be used for other industrial purposes, but for the most part, when it's treated at these facilities, they're dumped into in the case of 91st Avenue, into the nearby dry riverbed. It's allowed then to percolate down, and so there is some recharging of the water table. But the reality is, under the Arizona sun, the bulk of it eventually evaporates off anyway.
So does the water table get recharged as a result of it being used in the nuclear plant, or is it a case of it would have been recharged whether the plant was here or not?
No, it is still being recharged because there is whatever remains at 91st Avenue that they're not selling to us or to other industrial users is being used as recharge.
I see. Well, that's very interesting because a lot of people are concerned about wasting of things like water and so forth, and you'd think that you see the steam come off the cooling towers on a general plant, you think you're wasting a lot of water, when really you're not wasting anything. You're just using the water that really nobody else was using except maybe the golf courses. And we're talking about gray water effectively.
Right. Or what's sometimes called impaired water.
Right.
Water that really isn't useful in a lot of other ways.
And water that may require retreatment in order to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like we have one more face demonstration.
This exhibit basically is talking about the fact that we are a people-heavy business. It's certainly we have special and unique technologies that are involved in our business, but we are a people-heavy business. We have about around 2,500 employees that work at the site, and they range in various skills and experiences and ages, and so we wanted to show some of those faces of our business here, and so we took pictures of hundreds of employees and put them on the walls throughout the facility.
And we have a story of these three
individuals. 3 people that we just picked. Callie is interesting in that she is a second generation employee. She's had father, uncle, others work at the plant, so she's sort of become, and as you can see up here, the digitized larger face of this exhibit as well.
Oh, yes. And these other 2 individuals, can you talk about?
Yeah, Christy was a person who is in our operations staff. She actually started out as an administrative assistant and chose a path to go to class and learn to be an operator, and now serves in that capacity. And Brent is in our mechanical maintenance department. So it tells a little story about each of those and each of these people and how they got where they are and what they do at the facility. There are literally 2,500 of these kinds of stories, so we had to just pick a couple. One of the things I would point out that's kind of interesting, this and many of the other vertical exhibits in particular are printed on fabric. When you talk about environmental aspects and low impact aspects, this is one of those where if we needed to change an exhibit, in previous technology, it'd be kind of hardscape type of stuff. And so if you wanted to change it, you'd be tearing out a big hardscape panel and disposing of that, and then replacing it with, and they're usually plasticized type materials, where in this case, it's a frame into which you clip printing on fabric. And if you want to change it, you don't have to change out the whole exhibit or a large hardscape face. You just pull off that fabric, print out your new one, snap it into place. And so there's several of those exhibits in here.